14,769 dials, 659 conversations, 109 scheduled, 83 occurred, 5.7 million in pipeline for the team. And this was achieved in only 8 months. These are the first numbers that grab your attention when you look at my guest's LinkedIn profile. Welcome back to the SDR Hire Podcast. I'm your host, Stefan, and if you're new to this channel, this is a place where you can learn from top producing salespeople what it's like working in tech sales, how do you break in, what do companies look for, how to get promoted, and how to be successful in tech sales. Today, we're talking with Beau Vrbas, a killer cold caller who's currently working at Memory Blue, one of leading SDR outsourcing businesses in the US. After hitting his President's Club in 2023, Beau was promoted from SDR to manager starting this year. So Beau, welcome to the SDR Hire Podcast, man.
Hey, man. Thank you so much, Stefan. Happy to be here and so happy to have the opportunity to engage with your audience and hopefully give some nuggets to some people out there looking to level up their game, looking to get to the next level.
Appreciate that, man. I really appreciate it. And, I think these numbers that I led with, I think they speak for themselves. But can you give us a little bit of an introduction? Who's Beau?
Yeah, so Colorado kid, grew up in Denver, Colorado, moved out of there in 2016, finished uni, big waste of time and money, but moved out of uni, should have went straight into a sales job. In 2016, so I was playing rugby union all through college. And I was pretty good at it. And I fortunately had the opportunity to get set up in Sydney, Australia. So right after college, I went and played for a team in Sydney, played rugby for a few years there. And at the same time, I started selling. That's when I started really selling. And then I started speaking and studying Chinese Mandarin. You're never going to have a guest with this crazy backstory, okay? So I was studying Chinese Mandarin because it was helping me with my sales cycle. I was running into Chinese people. And we'll go into that deeper. So anyway, I decided to move to China, and I lived in China from 2019, January. I was there before that, to 2021. So those dates should indicate something. So I lived in China in the northeast region of Dalian for 2 years and was studying Chinese, teaching English. And then I moved back here. I'm currently now in DC. Moved back here, worked at Palo Alto Networks and cybersecurity vendor company. As an account manager for a year. And then after that transition, I moved into lead generation for specifically at Memory Blue as a manager. I lead a team of 10 to 14 BDRs, SDRs, and we sell into the public sector. So federal, FedCiv, DOD, as well as SLED, state, local education, small unis, colleges, and K through.
Dude, super impressive. Definitely the first person who has had this kind of background. So definitely very interesting. I have a friend, I'm going to ask you later about maybe you even bumped into each other, but she also moved very young to China and then
really
learned Chinese. Yeah. And then she just crushed it. She's working in sales as well. Anyway, okay. That's a pretty comprehensive background, really amazing things. Glad to hear there are some people who don't necessarily just play football. If they're from the US, they also play rugby. There's a huge misconception what rugby is compared to football, especially in Serbia.
Rugby's better. Rugby's cooler, man. It really is. Let's keep it real.
We could discuss about that, definitely.
It is. It's tougher too.
No, I bet. I know how much it hurts when you hit your head into a helmet. I can't even imagine how much it hurts when you hit it in some other dude's head. So I can only imagine. All right, dude, look, I came across you when I heard you on Trellis's Get Pitched show on YouTube, where you delivered a hell of a cold call. And let me walk through the audience what that sounded like. So you led with a problem right off the bat, so no permission-based opener. You led with a problem. Then you stated your company, and then you said to make sure you're not wasting their time. What are they struggling with the most? Prospecting, follow-up, lead gen. I was like, wow! The energy that you delivered that with, it was just amazing. So where does is that usually how you do cold calls? Where did you learn how to cold call like that?
1,000%. And I think that's the only way to do it. And there's no specific answer to that other than just years of doing it, man, knocking on doors. But but like just to simplify the whole thing, right? The
Mm,
only reason why anybody would buy something is, and I believe this, if you go very deep, is they want to solve some sort of problem, right? So what I find is that most people who do cold calls, they try to follow this, go into a discovery, right? And my job on that call was to what, Stefan? It was to book a meeting, right? It
that's
wasn't
right.
to try to sell them the product. It wasn't try to do this. I was trying to book a meeting so that we could sell, right? Once you can distinguish what your intention is on that call, you should be spending 20% of your time talking about you, who you are, what you do, find the problem, and then close. 80% of that time should be on closing, and you do not go back into the sale on that call. You stay in the close. So I'm coming out the gate. These are busy people. They've heard it all before. I mean, you notice when you watch that podcast, right? No one ever even gets close to the 60
Yeah.
second mark because they're
Yeah.
spending all this time. Tell me about that tool you have. What do you do? How long have you had it? And it's like, dude, at a certain point, say what you need to say, state the reason why you're calling, and shoot your shot. I'd rather lose the call on my terms, shooting my shots, than never getting a shot out at all. Meaning asking for the time, right?
Yep.
So I think for me, it's just understanding that these people, they get the same calls every day. It's the same thing. It's the same pitch. So how do you differentiate yourself, right? How do you be interesting and interested at the same time? So once you operate from that, and then there's some conviction, but you got to keep this thing very level. It's an introduction call. Don't make it more complicated than it is.
Got it. You actually reminded me of, and I told you this before, but you actually reminded me both in the way that you delivered that, as well as in the way that you kind of look. You reminded me of Grant Cardone. And like the dude, there's some controversy around him. I respect him from the perspective of sales and what he's done with his businesses. So I hope you don't get this in the wrong way. But it was just impressive the way that with the energy that you delivered. I constantly look for new ways to how people deliver cold calls. I constantly go on these different training sessions from different like sales leaders and different methodologies to like
Yeah,
learn what's working for folks. And the way that you did this, it just simplifies things to the most lowest level of like quick, easy to understand, right to the gut, and getting a call. And to be honest, like that was just 100% booked meeting, even though it was just 60 seconds. By the way, I'm gonna leave the link for everybody else to check
yeah.
it
Go
out
check it out.
because Bo just crushed it. But like uh, is that kind of how you ended up in the President's Club for 2023? Because the numbers that I read out at the start of the episode, those are the numbers that you actually hit in 2023 selling at Memory Blue.
Yep.
Um, is that how you ended up in the President's Club using methodology of cold calling like that?
Absolutely, man. And keep in mind, like, so I don't know. So Memory Blue, just to give everyone who's watching who doesn't know what we do. So we provide lead generation service to high tech clients who are trying to sell specific to me in the public sector. So that whole time I was on a contract with a company called Qualys, which is a huge cybersecurity cloud solution provider. And they deal with vulnerability management, threat, a whole suite of things. So those numbers are numbers that I generated as an outside external hired BDR for their Fed team, which was brand new to the market. They only have a commercial business right now. And so they wanted to move into PubSec. They wanted to move into federal specifically. So, I was calling chief CTOs, chief technology officers, CISOs, chief information security officers, CIOs, chief info officers, security architects, very, technical focused people, directors of technology, enterprise network architects, right? So these people, number one, the cool thing, and a lot of people don't know this, is that for technology, for cold calling in the public sector, specifically federal, it is such a new thing that I don't think a lot of people realize how much opportunity there is there. I mean, you're calling security engineers, security architects. They're not used to those calls, right?
Yeah,
But they also just want to get to the point, right? And especially the more C-level a person is or upper a person is, my thing is, because I know that follow up and keeping that communication line, keeping that going for me. I don't care if you say yes, I'm going to meet with you or not, or I blow this, or you meet with me. I know the second part of it is always and ever will be following that person up, and doing
Mm,
that effectively, creatively, and professionally is where most salespeople lack. And yes, I'm talking to account executives, the worst at this. Um, they do not know how to follow people up. And so I
mm.
know that even if I blow this deal on the first call, I am going to have you until one of us taps out. You will talk to me again. And if I don't get you now, I'll get you later. So I'm going to go through it quick, and I'm going to spend time closing,
Got it.
and bringing it back to zero, which means this is just an intro call, man. We don't need to get crazy on this call.
No marriage proposals. What are you doing? Like tactically, what are you doing to follow up with them? Is it calling them again? Is it
Yep.
sending them emails? Is it like connecting with them on LinkedIn and creating connections? Like, what does that look like, especially in the public space?
Yeah. So a lot of these guys have LinkedIn pages, right? Most of them do, right? But here's the thing, and I tell my guys this. So I got a team of 8 people right now, BDRs, all selling into that space. The modern day follow up sequence looks like this: give you a call, not interested. Okay, send me an email. Great, I shoot you an email. A week goes by, call you back. Hey, did you get that email? Not, didn't read it. Okay, I'll resend it to you. Great, call you back week 3. Let me send you a LinkedIn request, send you a message. Didn't respond to it. Great, done. Probably never speak to that person again. Okay, well, all of these are touch points, and I feel like the modern day reps only are using phone call and email.
Hmm.
Emails, I never. Okay, you might have had. I think you've had some people on this podcast that are like, I did a cold email. It was great, dude. Emails do not work. Okay, you are much more effective on the phone. You will connect with people. You will demonstrate your value, and you will get more engagement. And you like emails for me is the new email is just delete. And then I don't know if you read this, but earlier in this year, Google implemented and Yahoo implemented some new database security so that like you can get kicked off your G Suite easily if you're spamming emails, and you can't even get into people's servers anymore. So the phone call is king, right? So for me, the follow up is, yeah, I call you, right? Maybe you're not interested now. Awesome. Send you an email. Great. I'm not calling you up asking, hey, man, I'm calling you just to call you. I'm calling you up. How many salespeople do that? I'm calling you because I want to follow up. Hey, man, just checking in to follow up. That is not a sales call. How about you find something, an article, a post that's relevant to their institution, to their school, to their government agency. You reach back out to them and you tell them, hey, man, I saw this article, thought you might be interested in it. Take a look at that. I got to go. How about you hang up before they do? What do you think that person's going to think now? Oh, wow, this guy's really a professional. He's about his business. He's relevant. He's on point. He's on target. And then a LinkedIn message. Um, you know, these guys all have LinkedIn presence. So why not comment and reshare their post with some actual thought into what you're saying versus just, hey, the LinkedIn messages today drive me crazy. Nobody reads them because it's just a wall of text. And it's like, it's always the same thing, right? So, I try to keep some personability into it,
Hmm.
and I always keep in mind I got phone. Maybe you're not going to answer the phone, Stefan, but you'll probably listen to my voicemail. If you don't listen to my voicemail, maybe you'll respond to a text message. If you don't look at the text, hey, maybe an email is the way to go. If you ain't going to do an email, shit, if I got to come to Department of Treasury or come to the VA and come say hello and drop off something for you, or walk onto your school if you're selling to school districts and give you a t-shirt, dude, I'm going to do that. But I feel like a lot of people now are just relying on two tools versus everything, and they're not developing sequences that are variety. They're just using two trick ponies, right? Phone
Yeah.
call, email.
Yeah.
Dudes, you have LinkedIn, you have video messages, you have voicemails, you
Yeah.
have written letters, you have gifts, you have sites to walk on. So I challenge my guys all the time. Right? How else can you reach this person? Because not everyone's going to be on the phone call,
Yeah.
right? So got to find which medium people want to meet you on.
I love it. I actually had a guy who's selling, he's an SDR for a company that's selling fraud prevention services.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a workshop for my community where he gave examples of his LinkedIn messages, and he did an example of cold email and a cold call that he would do, and it's just amazing to see what it actually feels like and looks like. What does your typical, not necessarily the whole cold call, but like the structure of your call, what does it usually sound like? Is it something similar to what you did on the
Yeah.
get pitch thing?
Yeah. So, hey, Stefan, this is Beau here, Memory Blue. Look, assuming I didn't get you at a bad time, just wanted to reach out to you. We help companies like yours. We build 40% in pipeline, 70% increase in quality leads. To be sure I'm not wasting your time, out of bang, 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 ABC, which of those are you most challenged with? Now, either one of two things is going to happen. Now, you're going to say, what? I'm not interested. Stefan, totally understand you're not interested. That's actually why I'm calling you, and you're not calling me, sir. Let me tell you, and then or you handle the initial greeting objection, right? I'm running into a meeting. Totally get that. All right. Do you have 30 seconds? I'll be quick if you are. Right. So whatever that looks like for you, I think most people can figure that out by now if you're a tenured SDR. But essentially that's the meat and bones, right? I need to get you to tell me something, to share a little bit of information where I qualify you as someone that we want to meet. And then I'm spending the rest of my time on close. Now, here's where people get this backwards. Okay. So let's say I get past the introduction and the opening statement, we call it, right? Here's what we do. Here's what we work with, provide you lead gen, quality leads, blah, blah, blah. Tell me more about this. Let's say I get some information from you. People go too deep in the discovery part of the call. So if we were to break it up, intro OS, just maybe handle an initial objection, a greeting, whatever. And then now we're in discovery. People, especially if you're an SDR, a BDR, or even an AE, and your job is just to get someone to get on a call with you, a demo, a proof of concept, or whatever. You're spending so much time in the discovery that you're actually talking yourself out of the deal.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think what people do is they think, oh, I need to get more and more and more information. Well, no, dude, you need to get one or two things that are relevant to you and your business, and then you need to move to the next step. And here's why I say that, Stefan, because the more time you spend on that phone qualifying, the more you're putting uncertainty in the person you're speaking to that, oh, this is getting serious. I need to loop in my manager. I need to bring in my decision-making boss. And then you're going to get that objection. Or they're going to say, I'm not qualified to take this. Okay. Or people actually talk themselves out of closing all the freaking time. And they put time in it. And you'll see this on the intro call or a demo call as well. They'll put time into this, right? So I always try to make things shorter because you're actually doing more service to the person. And if you're talking to someone, let's say you call someone and they're already halfway sold on your product, they're willing to do it. Well, talking to them, you're just talking yourself out of it, right? Now you're making it more complicated. So that's low hanging fruit. So I get them. In addition, I just want to move you to the next phase of the pipeline to get you to pipeline, right? Which is, hey, sit down with me for 20 minutes. Let me walk you through this, show you how we can benefit your company. When are you free? Monday or Thursday? Not, would you be open to meet with me? Would you be open to a meeting? Like, right? So in order to talk like that, though, I think you need to have belief in who you are, your product, and you need to realize that you come with the package, which I think a lot of people miss that.
That's beautiful. So just to quickly recap, first off, we have the opening statement, right? Explaining what you do, whatever, and then making sure people not overtalk themselves and don't lose the potential deal, because they take too long in the discovery process. Now, what do you usually see that your reps, for example, or other people, why do they make these mistakes and how to avoid them, right? Is it the uncertainty? Is it just lack of experience? What happens there?
I think it's a combination of stuff, right? You're only going to get good at something the more you do it, the more you swing the bat. And then you start to notice patterns and you start to predict and you start to realize, hey man, like it's all kind of BS. Like the whole, I'm not a decision maker. Well, dude, you actually are. Okay. That's why I'm reaching out to you. Right. But I think ultimately what it is I think people fail to understand fundamentally, and I'm speaking to the BDR, I'm speaking to the SDR right now. Fundamentally, your job is to move them from the security checkpoint A to the next checkpoint. Yeah. Okay. That it's that simple, right? Now, that doesn't mean you just QuickBook, right? That doesn't mean you just say, hey man, you're a janitor. Great. Let's meet. Like, that's not who you want to meet with, right? You're selling cybersecurity. You probably want to meet with someone with network security in their title, not physical security, who holds the keys to the doors in the building. So the little bit of quality or the little bit of discovery that goes in, I think people also struggle with, there needs to be conviction and belief in what you're selling. And you need to believe, even if you're the most expensive, you're the cheapest. Yeah. Even if your product is not the best, no, dude, we are the best. Let me tell you why. And if you don't have that instilled in who you are and your core being, you're not going to have the ability to push people to do it. And then also, I think this is more a mindset thing, right? People need to realize you're doing the customer a favor.
Mhm.
You don't do the customer a favor by spending 10 minutes on a call with them on discovering. You do the customer a service when they buy your product. Now, customer service is actually a real thing. Everything up until then, and we're just playing in freaking purgatory or something.
Yeah.
We're just it's all fake. It's not real until they close and sign and buy your product. Now we can start doing the rapport, customer service, providing value. Everything up till then, man, all you're doing is just talking. It's just foreplay, right?
Yeah.
So I think you need to realize like you actually are going to help this person out when you get them on your product. You got to operate from that.
That's beautiful. Beautifully put. Um, I love the fact that I coach this my SDRs as well, which is like first there needs to be conviction, and if you are lacking conviction, you either got to find it or change the company because otherwise
Yeah.
the sale is not going to happen. And secondly, like you are not in the sale business; you're in the helping business.
Yep.
And at least for me, that was a huge mindset shift. All right. And speaking of the things that you work with your SDRs, you said you have a team of 8 people. What does your
Mhm.
current role actually entail? So you were a BDR manager, right?
Yeah, so the title is client delivery manager. So it's kind of three pronged, right?
Right.
First part is BDR manager, as everyone would think what that means, tracking their metrics, setting their quotas, checking their pipeline, et cetera. All the performance team metrics management. Second part is hiring. I got interviews every week, so I got to constantly be hiring for not only my team, but just for the company as a general. And the third part is client relationships, client management. So I have 9 companies right now that are data analytics, data management, cybersecurity, some sort of I have like some other offhanded stuff. Like it's all software related technology. But essentially, those clients come to us and they say, "Hey, Beau, we want to sell into federal public sector." So my job is not only to manage those other 2 areas I mentioned, but it's also to manage that client relationship. So we have cadences weekly with their VP of sales, their CROs, their marketing team, their inside account executive, inside sales team, and my job is to facilitate that relationship with my BDR and them because my BDR is he's external third party, but my job is to make sure that he's performing to that client and that our client is also keeping their end of the deal, enabling us with marketing papers, whatever we need, and also strategy and things like that. So managing the clients, managing the BDRs, and also hiring.
Perfect. When you interview people, right?
Yep.
You must be interviewing like at least a few people per week. It's probably even
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
more. What are the literally what is one or maybe 3 things that you look for? Because you seem like a guy who doesn't bullshit around. You just
Yeah.
find things that you have very strict set of criteria, just like you do your calls, just like you do your job. And I assume it's like that with interviewing people. So what are those things that are critical to you when you're
Yeah.
hiring SDRs?
So it's great, man. So coachability, number one. I don't need you to come in here and reinvent the wheel or think that you did it your way. Like we have a proven system here. All I need you to do is listen and
Mm.
take that. Ethical, right? Somebody who's not going to lie to me, who's going to be on time, who's not going to, want to work from home every day because they're hungover. And keep in mind, a lot of our people we bring in here, these are new in career, early in career. A lot of them are grads. A lot of them are changing career into technology because they want to go through that door. And then lastly is you're not happy or you're looking for the next thing in your life. You're trying to level up, right? So wherever you're coming from now, you've done as much as you can do there. So I really love particularly candidates that, we get a lot of like fitness industry, personal trainers who have kind of maxed out and hit that ceiling. And there's the only thing they can do now is open up gyms, right? They've done everything they can. They have their business are small business owners who are like, there's just not scalable anymore. But I've done everything I can here. Now I'm looking to try to break the ceiling and commission and get paid for my productivity. So those candidates particularly shine out to me. But yeah, those are the 3 things I'd say.
That's perfect. So you work in an outsourcing company. Basically, you're outsourcing SDRs, right? Lead gen
Yep.
for companies in the US. Now, I've been a part of outsourced SDR types of companies. However, outsourced in Serbia, for example, there's a bunch of these in this region that are
That's my
usually
hometown, man.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, your last name. Um, and so these types of companies, at least here, usually
Yep.
play on the fact that their business model is oriented towards okay, so it's cheaper to hire people here locally, right? SDRs, BDRs, and then charge a premium to, for example, US based companies. What does that actually look like for a company of your size over there? So I'm assuming like how lucrative is it to get into a company like Memory Blue, for example, be an SDR over there compared to I don't know Gong, right, or other big name tech companies that you could be a BDR at?
Yeah. So
Sorry if I confuse you a little bit there because
yeah.
it's a two-pronged question. Basically, how lucrative is it for an SDR, at least in the States, to become an SDR in Memory Blue, for example, compared
Yeah.
to a bigger tech company?
Oh, I see. No, so great question. This is our biggest selling factor. This is our differentiator as a lead gen company. So the people come to us. One of the major reasons why people come to us in the first place is because they want to use us as a starting point, or a ramp off into a tech role, specifically an AE role. Cybersecurity is a lot of people that want to get in that kind of field or some other tech. So they use us as a launch pad. Now, when you come through us, you're going to get a boot camp for 3 days. You're going to get 6 weeks of academy. Everyone has to go through it. You're going to learn all the fundamentals of sales, salesmanship, and then you get a team manager like myself who's going to coach you on other things and kind of add a little bit more into it. But the main thing is this: our clients. So those 9 clients I mentioned to you that I have, a lot of them are Fortune 100 companies. Massive. We've had name a company they've used us in some capacity. We've got the
Wow.
Dell, we've got the Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, Rapid7. So they have a chance to hire those SDRs out directly from us and onboard directly in their team. Now, the incentive for those companies, those VARs or OEMs or vendors, is that normally that's a 6 month process just to get someone in the door, and then another year to get them actually good. And then you're already $150,000 down the line. And what if they're crap? Great, got to start all over. Got to wait for budget from HR to be released. Got to realign territories. Got to redo all that. So the incentive we give is they kind of get to try out our SDRs,
Yeah.
and to the degree that our SDRs do a great job, they can say, "Hey, man, that guy Stefan, he's been killing it. He's booked 10 a month. He's hitting quota. These leads are converting directly to pipeline. Here's those numbers," and I facilitate that, and then I get incentivized to get them hired out, right? So if they get hired out externally by our clients, that's good for me. It's good for the SDR if they want to, mind
Yeah.
you. If the SDR wants to, the client will take them directly into their team. They don't need to train them. They don't need to do anything other than just get them onboarded. But in terms of the job, the scope of the job, they're ready to roll, and they run circles around their internal teams most of the time. So a lot of clients use us specifically for that, just to hire SDRs out because it's faster. It costs less time.
Yeah.
They even hire delivery managers out, but that's expensive.
No, I can imagine.
They got to
What
pay a little fee for that.
what is that also something that they do for SDRs as well? Like, do they pay like a recruitment fee to you guys for getting the
Yep.
SDRs?
Yep. So they'll pay a fee, and that could be negotiated. We also really try to make sure that they get the best deal, our
Yeah,
SDRs. So we're very involved in the process to make sure
nice.
that they're getting the best starting salary, the best OTE, the best package, and that they want to do that. And then they get out of here, and then they're added to the alumni network. If our SDRs don't do that, maybe sometimes you get a client that you don't want. You just want to stay here. We
Mhm.
also have a personal hire placement internal team that after 12 months or 15 months, you get put on an internal team. So you get your own headhunters who go out in the marketplace to past clients that have worked with us, and they will go try to get you a job at one of those companies.
Mhm.
Or you can move internally. We have several paths internally, whether that's a manager like myself or you want to be an inside account executive. And by the way, after that video you were talking about, shout out to Dom, the guys who run that over there.
Yeah.
My internal sales team, like, they might try to hire me, man. They're like, "Beau, do you want to be a manager? We might want you to sell Memory Blue."
Amazing, dude. Shout out to the hiring team at Memory Blue. Like, but that is it's so interesting. I worked for a similar company. It just differently incentivizes people who work there. So it's more like on a cost basis. So they kind of arbitrage on the price. And for example, an SDR would cost 5K, but they
Uh,
would be only paying for $2,000 a month to that SDR, right? And so they're making 3K per SDR per month, for example. Like that's how these outsourcing agencies work, at least here.
yeah,
It's very interesting. I've never actually had a conversation like this about what that model looks like directly in the US, and it seems like there are really good incentives for people to come on board because they one get amazing training, if if we can judge it by the things that you are doing today. Amazing training. I'm guessing pretty decent, like on pair with the market salaries, but then a launch pad to either get hired by other companies or get hired
yep,
by your clients or get promoted internally, which is really amazing. So it sounds like it's a pretty decent and pretty good working business model. No
yeah,
wonder Memory Blue has like Fortune 100 companies as
yeah,
clients.
yeah. And I think it's also part of this. Dude, everyone's in the office, so we got about 9 offices. We just did an acquisition with Operatics, which is another big lead gen company, but they
Nice.
got it. They have a JPEG presence, so they have something in East Asia office. I think it's Singapore. They also have one in London, and they got one down south. So we just acquired 3 more offices to our 8 that we already have in North America. So, but you're in the office, right? I think I don't know how other companies operate. Some of them are like the remote thing, but part of our culture is one of our biggest value adds is that you're in the office, you're learning from people, you're dialing, you got help and support at any point that you need it, any point in the day. And I think that's something to say about, a lot of times when people leave here and they go to other companies, they miss it, man.
Yeah.
They'll reach back out to their managers and they'll be like, God, I miss the environment at Memory Blue. I miss the culture. I miss just being in the office. I'm like, now I meet with my team once a week and they're all scattered and there's just hard to, I got to Slack everyone for something and I'll hear back 48 hours later. It's just like no one responds to anything. So I think the culture thing is a big part too.
I see. It sounds like you're pro in office versus
Oh my
remote.
God, dude. Did you see my post I did this
Yeah,
morning?
I did.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of heat. I've got a lot of people messaging me saying, hey, man, that's a little extreme, or I'm not lazy. I'm like, dude, if you are messaging me about that, it might not be a me problem. There might be
Mm,
something to say about that, about,
mm,
you need to look at yourself because I think almost every company I know. I think I was just reading. We know Amazon went back to work. We know Elon's team went back to work. Dell just. I was reading an article the other day. Dell's back in the office. Everyone's back in the office. What does that tell you? Now, yes, there's some engineering roles, some technical roles that you don't need to be in the office. That's fine. But for the mass blanket of people, especially new people who are just getting their career started, if you're not in the office, dude, you're just being lazy or you're lying to yourself, in my opinion. Because you're not going to learn as fast and get to the next level and produce where you should be if you're not around people who have already done it, who can lead by example, who you can ask questions and soak up things from. So that's just my take on it. But a lot of people disagree with that.
it's a tough topic to kind of discuss because on one hand everybody would like to have this freedom to work from anywhere, etc., and I know like SDRs who are killers who are working completely remotely, and even my
Yeah,
model is based on helping companies hire remote SDRs. But the fact you said something very interesting that I 100% agree with, which is folks that have never worked in an office, have never been on a sales floor, have never been in the environment where
yep,
sales is happening, they don't understand and don't feel those things as good as somebody who already has that experience. And so, to your point, I think people with experience can maybe give themselves the luxury of working remotely if they prefer it that way. On the other hand, people who are just new to the role, they're probably better off if they're in the office. Obviously, there are business models like some that
yeah.
help people like work completely remotely, but still, I do tend to agree with you on that. But I do also see where that heat is also coming from. It's a controversial topic to an extent.
Yeah. So you're probably a pro flex work.
Yeah, I am. I am. Although I've been working flexible for almost all of my career, and COVID
Yeah,
just accelerated that. However,
yeah,
I did spend my early sales days in the office, and I
yeah.
was with people doing sales calls.
You got your foundation there.
Yeah,
I get your point, and I agree. It's like it's this is more catered to the general. It's not a blanket solution. Like there are account executives out there who they have 12 accounts. They're enterprise level. They don't need to sell new anything to anybody. All they need to focus on is their 12 accounts, just upselling, renewing, adding this, keeping the relationship. Okay, yeah, that's fair. But how many people is that?
mm,
Right?
mm,
Like if you have a new sales force, a new team, especially Gen Z, like I don't know if you read the whole post, but almost every person I interview here is like, man, I just want to work in an office.
yeah,
We got a lot of young people that got laid off. They got a great job after college. You know, they got the coveted remote job, work from home, tech sales, and they got laid off. Why? Because they can't get access to information as fast as they would if they were in an office. They can't learn. And it's honestly selfish of companies to even give them that option without saying, hey, man, you have to earn it because all you're doing is setting them up to fail,
yeah,
right? You can't train someone salesmanship, objection handling, discovery, qualifying, like, and have that interaction with them if you're doing a manager 30 minutes once a week with them and all you're focusing that time on is forecasting. Like, where are they getting the training and support, man?
yeah,
So, you know, and then also you're leaving them to their own devices. They don't even know how to work in an office. They don't know what a normal 9 to 5 looks like. They think take a 2 hour lunch and take photos outside Starbucks with their laptop and they got the life and it's all good. Like, okay, you're gonna get laid off like with that kind of work ethic. So they don't even have a good example of what working means.
mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
I think it's more for the new generation of people, that just never had that office exposure to have leaders around them to see. You can't expect them to be productive, and the data is starting to show.
It's interesting. That's why I liked your post because you actually showed a piece of data where there's this thought that Gen Z is actually very pro remote. And your post was really interesting because it's your own experience talking with these Gen Z candidates where they are asking to be present in the office, which for sales I think makes so much sense. I mean, in general, you get to meet people, especially in a startup environment. Like, I think as you get older, I mean, as people get older, they might want to have more flexibility
Yeah,
into deciding whether they want to work remotely or not. But anyway, I think I agree with you 100% there. And by the way, speaking of training people, what does that look like for yourself and your team? So how do you what practices do you do to make sure that your sales reps are performing to the best of their abilities?
yeah. So I wish I had one of them walking by right now. I'd just grab them. They would tell you that I'm definitely a micromanager. I'm definitely hard. Okay, discipline's important, but 8:30 to 8:42, they're role playing.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're role playing objections, and that's it. I don't care about your script. I don't care about you letting right, and it's real. It's serious role play. You flunk your partner, you pass your partner, and you focus on the not interested, the decision maker, the we don't have budget, we don't have time. How do you handle that? And if you jack it up, right, start over. So that happens every morning. After that, we go straight into an AM blitz. So that's going to be from right at 8:43 to 10 a.m. Then we do a 10 a.m. huddle where we go over meetings for the day, what's set to go down, what appointments are going to be going down. Did you follow up? So we check today's going down. Where are we at with that? Do we have vocal confirmation? Do we have an email confirmation? If not, call them right now. Everything for me is right now. Like I like numbers being given to me now. If there's bad news, like if someone canceled a meeting for the same day, I expect my guys, they bring me it. Hey, Beau, this guy canceled. Great. I'm calling him. I am very much like I feel like a lot of managers when they become managers, you got to have me on for another call some other time, man. But I feel like for managers, when they get elevated to the SDR, the BDR manager, they forget what they were before they got that,
Yeah.
and they stop duplicating those successes that made them a manager in the first place. So being a good SDR rep, being a good AE, whatever that was for them prior, and they think now I just got to manage. No, you got to lead by example. Now you have to do both. So I am very involved with my guys. Like right now, we got a few guys end of the month, end of the quarter. They're short on quota. I'm doing dials. I got other people who hit quota already doing dials for them to make sure they get over that line. And so probably the afternoon will be a lot of admin work, emails, follow up, meetings set, and then we do a PM blitz, which will be from 3 to 4:30. I'll have some whiteboard sessions in there. I'll have some training. We're doing this cool thing now where we're all going spark notesing different books. So we just finished a Challenger sale, and now we're doing I think how to win friends and influence people. But we'll do that, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll go over some like specialized training and stuff. But that's pretty much the day to day.
That you hit the nail on the head. We'll probably need another 40 minutes to discuss like what should SDR managers do when they get promoted, and what is that actually supposed to look like. And you kind of already answered one of the questions that I also had, which is what kind of sales school you guys are practicing. So you mentioned Challenger sale. And by the way, are your SDRs only doing meetings and then handing off to AEs, or do they qualify and try to close, etc.?
So it depends. Mine right now, sometimes we have clients that come to us just because they're, just call it what it is. Sometimes their AEs are just terrible and they can't close anything. And then we get blamed for bringing them, perfect leads. And then it's like, well, dude, let's look at the data. These are 10 out of 10 leads that should, by definition, convert to pipeline. Like after a certain point, you got to start looking inward. But so traditionally what we do, we qualify them, we set up the appointment. We have full access to usually our clients' emails, their calendars, all that stuff. So we'll set the appointments up. I expect all my guys and gals to be on those calls. I want them soaking up stuff. So they'll sit in on those. We call them appointments or occurs. And they'll write notes. And they're writing notes only about what the customer is saying or asking. I only want them to focus on those questions. They pass those notes off. But that's generally it. There's usually, if there's a demo or a second call, because there's some more interest, I'll have them get on those ones as well. After that, we generally just pass it off. Unless sometimes clients are like, hey, we did a demo or a POC with this guy. Can you touch him again? It's been some time since we spoke to him. So as per basis, they're very, very integrated with the outside clients team. They have weekly one-on-ones with them. They're almost an extension of their team. That's how I like to, coach them and have them operate from that mindset.
That's just amazing. All right. I'm going to start wrapping up. I have a few rapid fire questions for you, Beau. But so far, this has been just...
I always get nervous on the rapid fire.
No, you'll love them. You'll actually love them, although you've kind of answered half of those already. So what would you say is the best SDR learning resource?
Doing.
Nice. I love that.
Like actually stop putting time in between calls. A lot of times what you'll see is I got to check the LinkedIn first. I got to read what his job, like, no, dude, dial, and you'll get better. You'll start to recognize stuff. So doing.
All right. Best SDR skill.
Follow up.
All right.
Follow up.
That one is really cool. Best SDR creator to follow.
Creator. You mean like a guru?
Let's say like a guru, like a LinkedIn or YouTube person, like
a Jordan Belfort kind of. Dude, going back to our convo earlier. I'm gonna go with Grant. I think people need a little bit more Grant.
I love that. All right, awesome. What is your favorite SDR outbound channel? Like calls, emails, LinkedIn, etc.
Oh, I see. Oh, dude, you already know the answer to that.
No, that's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, it's phone is king. Dude, it just drives me crazy whenever I see posts and articles from people saying phone is dead, nobody answers. Like, no, dude, you just suck at it. Just call it what it is. You just don't know how to do it. If you did, you would realize phone is the best, always has been, and always will be.
I love that. Speaking of the phone, how many dials, do you guys have a KPI that you're asking your SDRs to hit?
The company standard is 100 dials a day. My team, they do 130 to 150. But my team is as many as it takes. Yeah. If that means staying late. The per week books that we want to get somewhere between 3 and 5 a week occurs. Appointments that go down 2 to 3 a week. Typically, our quotas will be anywhere from 10 to 14, depending on the client. So we call it pacer. So if you operate with those numbers, but to keep it all simple, a book a day is what everyone should be aiming at. I don't leave the seat. I don't piss. I don't go get water. I don't eat until I get one book a day. If you
Yeah.
do that, you'll be successful in any role.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we covered this. I was going to ask you what is your favorite cold call opener, but you kind of already did it, so I'll just cut it there. If or otherwise, you can just do it yourself again.
Yeah.
Cold,
Well,
cold.
I mean, see. I'm at a point, dude, where I just like I don't know. People always, I feel like, try to look for the perfect one liner or the perfect magic. Like, dude, sometimes I'll call someone, I'll just be like, "Hey, how's it going, Stefan? What's going on, my man?" Or you know, like Stefan trying to get in touch with you. Look, usually I might get you at a bad time. I'm guessing right now is not the worst. Or assuming I didn't get you at a bad time. I don't think there's a perfect one liner. It kind of just depends. But generally, I'll just say, hey, assuming I didn't get you at a bad time, reason for my call, I don't know.
Perfect. No, 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 I got it. I got it. That's cool. And final question. So, what is your favorite call to action? How do you ask for a meeting?
Oh, would there be any reason we couldn't meet? Or what day's free for you to meet, Thursday or Friday? Or, um, some variation of that. I think as long as it's direct and assumptive and you've done everything you should have done before, freaking ask for the call. It's
Yeah.
not, would you be okay to meet? If you're interested, would you want to meet? Do you want to meet sometime next week? No, it's Stefan, based off our conversation about X, Y, and Z. What day's better for you to meet to go to further look at that? Would it be Monday or would it be Wednesday? Would it be the front end of next week, the back end? Would it be in the morning or would it be at night? Okay, and then locking that appointment down.
That's just perfect. Good. This has been amazing. You're a great guest. You're a great speaker. You remind me of Grant Cardone so much. It's so weird.
I know, man. I feel like that dude's probably could have been my dad in another life.
It's
It's
so
weird.
funny. But you've been a great guest. I love your energy. I really enjoyed it. I think that your knowledge is right up there with some of the greats, and I really loved all the things that you taught us here today. Hopefully my audience is going to love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the audience, guys, if you think I missed some of the questions to ask Beau, just shoot them in the comments. I'll get his answers offline. And yeah, tell us how you liked the episode. So Beau, this was really good. Keep crushing it, dude. I'm gonna be following you on LinkedIn and
Come on,
seeing
man.
seeing if you end up actually with the client or with Memory Blues, sales team. So yeah, you've been awesome. Thank you very much.
Hey, man, it's been a huge pleasure. Thank you. Appreciate being here. Let's definitely get together sometime in the future, okay?
I'd love that. All right.